어서 와요.
안녕하세요.
예. 왜 오셔요?
눈물이 날 것 같아.
괜히
여기
오니까
지금,
이유 없이
네.
왜 그런지 아세요?
네.
내가 저 깃발을 잡아봤어.
네.
잡아봤는데 아기가 하나 따라오고 할머니가 하나 따라왔어. 그래서 나도 모르는 내 정신이랄까요?
네.
그쪽에서 이렇게 감흥을 하게 만들어요. 그래서 마음이 괜히 아파요. 이유 없이.
많이 괴로우고.
네. 근데 이름이
미국 이름을 줄까요? 한국 이름을 줄까요?
한국이라.
김민정입니다.
김민정.
네.
I grew up in a very traditional household. I had my parents, my grandparents were there. I was the first, and my sister, the third child, and my brother.
Character you want to pick? Is that who you want to also said the player. No, I like this character. No. I like this character.
I remember the night when my mom asked my dad for divorce. My mom told me, if you ever hear me screaming or crying, can you please come into the room so you could stop your father from hitting me? And I told her I could do that. A few moments later, she went into his office, and next thing you know, you hear all this chaos. But I was frozen. I was too scared to get up and to interfere with my father and my mom, because my father was also abusive towards me. So I just listened. Mason, can you grab these 2 fruits for me, please? And come with me to Shindang and drop it on the floor. Thank you. When my parents divorced, my father took custody of my siblings and I. And then my grandmother from Korea came to help raise us or take care of us while in the absence of my mother. My grandmother was very religious. My father was very close to his mom. He was the obedient son. He did everything his mother said. So when grandma didn't really like me, that really shifted our relationship. My grandmother would do a lot of intensive prayer healing spaces, especially on a Saturday morning. She would lock me in her room for about 3-4 hours a day. And there were times where she would say the devil has entered the house, and she would have buckets of sea salt at 2 o'clock in the morning, just throwing sea salt everywhere in the house. Or she would say that there is an army of demons coming in the house, and then she would go to the kitchen and grab a knife and start stabbing the air or swinging the knife around, because to her, she was in this holy war. My father had a hard time accepting all this, my grandmother's erratic behavior, but one time my grandmother had asked my father that God was testing his faith in us, just like Abraham and Isaac. How Abraham was tested to sacrifice his son Isaac. It was late at night. They thought I was sleeping, but I wasn't. I heard her tell my father that God is testing his faith in us. God is testing whether or not he loves him or not, and how much is he willing to do with his children. God wants you to take your daughter and sacrifice her for God. Ever since that night, I put a knife under my bed.
일부러 데리고 온 거예요?
왜냐면 솔직히 말씀드리면 얘가 가위에도 눌리고 귀신도 본다,
맞아요.
몸도 아프다,
맞아요.
지금 막 그런 상황이에요.
네.
그래갖고 얘가 너무 힘들어하고 그런다고 얼마 전에 얘기를 하더라고요.
네.
엄마, 내가 너무 힘드니까 그런 얘기를 해서 저는 솔직히 충격 먹었죠. 그래서
좀 됐는데 이런 지가?
About 8 or 9 years old is when I started to experience a lot of spiritual activities. When I was having the peak of my sleep paralysis, there was a little girl sitting on my chest. Maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, a little girl was sitting on my chest, and she was looking at me. But her energy was very who are you? Very curious. I didn't have any fear in me. Instead, I was really annoyed and upset that this energy woke me up from my sleep, which was so hard to come by. After that incident, I realized that there was a lot of things were physically manifesting. Like before, a lot of these experiences were happening in my mind, in my thoughts, but now the energies were intensifying, that they were actually physically happening to me.
키워놓고요.
네, 근데 왜 할머니하고 아기가 쫓아들어와요? 저희 오는데?
아, 그거는 조상이에요. 돌아가신 할머니?
저희 어머니가 엄마요.
네.
친정 엄마가
네.
그렇게 꿈에 나타난대요.
할머니.
그거-
이 얘기한테 할머니라 그래요.
아,
내가 볼 적에는 조상님이 발작이 났어요.
조상님이 저 신이지? 아니야?
돌아가신 엄마, 할머니니 뭐.
그래서 나를 쫓아온 거예요. 여기를 쫓아온 거예요.
그래서 혹시 그 여자애 보시나가 혹시 꼬마애시죠?
예, 예.
그래서 그때
얘도 봤다는 거예요.
가위 눌렸던 어떤 꼬마애
근데
여자
그게 엄마의 애기라 그래요.
그 엄마 얘기.
할머니, 내 엄마.
그러면 엄마야, 언니야.
할머니 할아버지 애동자자 김신의 자자 옳습니다. 할머니 할아버지 하이라 합신을 받으세요. 애동자자 몸주자자 김신의 제자가 옳습니다. 할머니 할아버지 오늘이 칠성날입니다.
그럼 어떻게 해요? 왜?
천도식 시켜달라고 온 것 같아요.
그게 무슨 뜻이야?
그거 좋은 데 가라고 해달라는 건데.
밥상 차려서 밥을 차려서 오담부를 해서 이렇게 좋은 데 가라고 연부를 해서 이렇게 보내달라는 뜻 같아요. 엄마가 여자 아기를 하나 데리고 왔어요. 둘이 오시는데 쫓아오더라고요.
어떤 거죠?
근데 왜 얘한테 가요?
이 친구가 신기가 있다. 우리 같은 끼가 있다.
So this is actually my first book that I got once I initiated as a Korean shaman. There are people who have a calling to become a shaman. And a lot of times to accept your calling to become a shaman, there's an elder that's there to take you on the journey and to help train. So Spirit Mother is the elder who initiated me into their house, into their lineage. So my spirit mom is my elder, my teacher, and the person who initiated me. My mom said, "Why is Jennifer, my daughter, experiencing this?" And the shaman said, this child has shinki, meaning that the energy of the gods. That I am able to do chum, which is divination, is channeling the spirit's messages. That I was like this since I was really young.
Guys, come here, Leo. Come here.
Dad.
Hi, Leo. Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you.
When I had met Peter, well, we were talking in a room one day. Behind him, I saw a spirit. I didn't know what to do, so I started trying to go back to my Christian days of doing the Lord's Prayer, Hail Mary. None of that worked. And I started to get angry and I cursed at the spirit and it started to walk towards me. And when it did that, I felt it come in my body and come out. And it was a physical feeling I have never felt before. I completely lost every ounce of sanity that I had.
Yeah, there have plenty of moments where I felt, this is really overwhelming.
You
thing.
called it a psychosis. You told me I was having a psychotic break.
A psychosis, yeah,
You
that was
had
the
a
term.
very specific,
Yeah, that was the term. Yeah, psychosis, like she was having hallucination, and I was really worried. At one point, I thought about maybe I should call ambulance. Maybe I should send her to an institution. I felt very helpless. I didn't know what to do. So, but at the same time, I also knew it's gonna ride it out. So ride it out. But almost every day, I felt like there was a breaking point where either when I come home, I'm not gonna see her around, or if I wake up in the morning, she might not be there because at nighttime she always talk about she want to go outside, go see the water, go see the mountain. And every day I go through thoughts about maybe we can't do this, Maybe this is just we're not gonna work out,
I think it took him a while to accept all this. He became fully supported after my initiation. Once he saw the changes in me.
진가에 몇 대 할아버지?
I don't know how I did that. I told my spirits, either one, you strike me down with lightning and we stop here, or two, my ancestors pick me up and we walk this together.
근데 내가 들어가자마자 마음이 좀 한숨이 이렇게 쉬는 것 같기도 하고, 그래서 편해지고 그 슬픔도 내 고생 많았다 그런 느낌도 있고, 그래서 여기서 내가 이상하게 여기서 이 사람들한테 내 고통을 다 내 이야기를 얘기하고 싶고, 내 아픔을 다 보내주고 싶어. 이상하게 마음이 내 아픔을 받쳐들인 그 얘기를 하는지 내 아픔을.
When spirit comes in contact with us, there's an immense key energy that comes into your body. And when spirit energy comes in, a lot of times there's movement involved. Sometimes maybe they're singing or dancing, but a lot of times jumping up and down to kind of receive the spirit. It doesn't really give us a lot of time to like be practical or logical during ceremony. There's an aspect where you need to completely forego all logic and all practicalities. But that's the state that we kind of need to reach to connect with spirit fully.
하고 싶은 게 아니라 나는 이렇게 못 살아. 이렇게 오래 뭐 좀 해야 될 것 같아. 그래가지고 내가 진짜 힘들어. 근데 나는 어릴 때서부터 힘들었는데 이거 어른 나는 되게 힘들잖아요. 그래가지고 이제 내가 좀 어려서 이제 내가 모르는 거 있어가지고 나는 그냥 그렇다. 그냥 살다 보니까 이제 일이 더 힘들면서 이제 정신도 그냥 진짜 진짜 힘들어.
일단은 내가 볼 적에는 지금 이 말하는 게 이 얘기가 하는 말이 아니에요.
진짜.
이게 할머니가 하는 말씀이세요.
아니 왜
하필 왜 이 얘기냐고요?
My mom, she said okay in the beginning. I think she was really in shock. But we fought a lot. She was against it. She said that she refuses to have her daughter become a Mudang. At the time, it was still looked down upon. There was a lot of negative stigmas and stereotype around shamans. And my mom just really tried to deter me, but I would not move. I told my mom that I spent all my life looking for an answer, a solution to what I was experiencing. And to me, this was it. So I was not budging in any way possible.
이 얘기가 영이 되게 맑아요. 영이 되게 맑아요. 그래서 신은 이 영이 맑고 정신이 맑은 사람한테 많이 가요. 이게 못됐거나 악하거나 이런 사람한테는 안 가요.
When my grandmother passed away, I was left with the responsibility of doing a ritual for her to help her soul pass away to the other side. I struggle with that ceremony. Why do I have to do something for someone who caused me so much harm, so much trauma, so much tragedy? But when I looked at my own children, I thought, what am I passing down to them? I need to work this through, whatever trauma I had with my grandmother in ceremony, so that when I die tomorrow, I don't pass on the same things to my own children.
살아가는 나의 방법이다.
무섭다. 그것도 이제 그렇고, 근데 내 생각은 내가 이거 뭔지 모르는데 내가 느끼는 게 이게 반복이 내가.
Through this process, it taught me to come home to myself, come home to my body, come home to me, like to make space for me, therefore making space for the work that I do with the spirits and the ancestors. It was like a homecoming.